Welcome back to the Homeschool Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Bex Buzzy, and today we have guests Shahla and Jay, who are CEOs and founders of strikeschool.org. They believe that the foundation of a healthy community is strong, healthy family units. Having come from generations of broken family themselves, they were painfully aware of the impact, especially when it came to children. They believe that as business leaders, they have the privilege to make the lives of their 7 families and the honor to serve children and families in their educational journeys. They believe every parent or guardian has the right to make their own choice, especially considering the education of their child, aligning with their family values. In this episode, we talk about how you can get a lot done in a short amount of time and how that myth that you have to be in school for 8 hours just isn't real. Talk about the flexibility and the choices that you have in homeschool and how Strike School prides themselves in the ability to help parents best support their students regardless of where they are in their academic journey. They also have top-notch learning coaches that can create a full curriculum with all subjects included around anything your child has an interest in. Go grab your coffee, go grab your tea, and a pen and paper, because you're not going to want to miss what Shahla and Jay have to say. Let's get into the podcast. Every Thursday, I have Teacher Talk Thursdays, where I talk about practical things to help you save money on curriculum and create units yourself easy and quickly with things that you already have. Also, I will be holding a lesson planning masterclass on October 15th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The first 100 people will get it for $25, along with 2 one-week science lessons after the masterclass. Register below, and I will see you on October 15th. Today we have Jay and Shahla from Strike School. Say hello to our listeners and tell us, what is something you think most people don't know about homeschooling?
Well, hello. And first of all, thank you very much for letting us join. My name is Jay, and Shawla is with me. And hello, everybody. So, yes, that's a great question. I think that it can be done and done well. A lot of people are hesitant, and most of the time, a child's education comes more natural for them in an environment they can focus within, which is typically their own home. It just provides less distraction and allows them to go at their own pace, learn versus being so entwined in maybe an environment that maybe become uncomfortable due to the unknowns. What do you think, Shahla?
Well, I think one of the things that people don't realize is that it doesn't take an entire typical school day to accomplish the day's learning at home. I talk to many parents who say, okay, so are we supposed to start at 8 and then do they have to do work until 4, 5 days a week? And so I have a lot of fun debunking that idea with families, and they are usually shocked, but also very relieved to find out that it doesn't take that many hours in a day to learn, for the children to learn, no matter what age that they are.
Yeah, and it's one of those where, if you look at a traditional school model, every child isn't getting that individual attention throughout the whole school day. And so in this means they're able to really hone in and focus, and again, relating back to what I had mentioned previously, at the right time, in the right place, when they're comfortable, their ears are open to wanting to learn. Then that time focuses down to a real true and meaningful period, and doesn't take sitting in front of a computer 6 hours a day to learn, or in a classroom through that same time frame, because they're really not getting that individual attention only but a fraction of the time.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. I know for me, I'm still a public school teacher, and I do not even teach that long. Like, I literally teach 3 hours a day, and that's three different classes. So, and that's actually the schedule for, most of the schools. It's 3 hours a day. And then the rest of the time that they are doing asynchronous things. So, I think parents have the wrong idea. They're forgetting that there's lunch, and then there's the driving to the school, and then there's all the disruptions that happen in class that take up more time. And they, once they realize that the education can be sped up so much, and their kids can really absorb the information, like you were saying, because they're able to hone in, because they're able to focus and just do it without distraction. It makes it so much better. And I think it's awesome. So you guys have Strike School. That is such a cool name. And honestly, when I first saw it, I did think it was a karate school. I was like, has anyone told you that?
No,
Well, we've had a lot of different interpretations to it, but we always kind of feel like we've Strike School has struck a home run because of our the success of our students and wellness, and also our teacher involvement. They seem to be so pleased with being able to focus with where their heart, their passion, their desires, and fulfill the personalized needs of these students. It really kind of goes hand in hand, but anyway, yes, we want to give people need to hear about us, and Strike,
make an impact.
Powerful, statement. So.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is your school, you guys received accreditation pretty quickly, no?
Yes, we did. Matter of fact, it was almost unbelievable. But however, because we have had such a peer group to work with us in building this school from people in different capacities in education, very high level. When we formed Strike, our, of course, structure and our foundation was very solid. We wanted to build off of a very solid foundation with a variety of knowledge base. It was one of those we achieved. We thought this school needs it. We have everything else, and it just gives that extra stamp of ensuring that our processes are correct, keeps us everything in line, gives us more motivation for professional development amongst our staff and our learning coaches, a number of things. However, yes, it was, we're very surprised to be able to achieve it in a short period. Most schools, it takes them 2 to 3 years before they can achieve accreditation, some don't even. However, we got through it with flying colors. When we came to our final review, the people just shook their heads. They could not believe what we had accomplished.
In 10 months.
10 months. And after which we received a written report. And of course, it was a very comprehensive report in all the different areas that we had to fulfill. And there were averages, nationwide averages. We could not believe that we exceeded all the averages. And so that told us something. We're doing something right.
That's awesome. Yeah. And in your preliminary interview, you mentioned that flexibility is a focus and the inspiration of your curriculum, which I think is amazing because that's really what homeschool is all about, right? That flexibility, the ability to be able to teach your child or if the child to learn on their own. Can you talk more about that focus of flexibility, families need flexibility and choices, how that really motivated and drove you guys to creating Strike School?
Yeah, so we recognized early on from my own experience homeschooling my children for many years, from 1999 to 2015. And I learned that's what I needed. First and foremost, I needed flexibility. That's one of the reasons I chose to homeschool, is because I wanted to keep my family together and do life together. And then I wanted choices in what they were going to learn. And so from not only from my own personal experience, but then also just in connection and contact with so many families, so many educators, we just knew that if we could figure out how to offer flexibility in the curriculum and in all of the choices in the ways that they can access Strike School, that the more we do that, the more families we can help, the more families we can serve. And here's an example of our flexibility. Yesterday, we received an inquiry from a family who was looking for their fifth grade advanced student to take a middle school beginning Spanish class. This student is a tag student doing all kinds of things, busing over to the middle school to do advanced things, but they wanted to still add something on. And they got a hold of us and said, can you do this? Well, we didn't currently offer the option, but 30 minutes later we did. And so this student is now going to take beginning middle school Spanish, one class by itself, because that's what they want, that's what they needed. And so with everything, with our curriculum as well, the ability for our teachers to be able to modify courses, modify lessons in ways that help the student move forward. One example of that is, if we have a student that has mastered an area of a subject, we don't believe that the student should do all of the lessons about the thing they've already mastered just for the sake of doing the lessons. And so we allow them to excuse portions so that the student can move forward. Unless the parent wants the student to do every single lesson, we leave that up to the parent. But most times they don't. They just would prefer that the student is able to move on if they have that mastered. So that's another example of that flexibility that we feel really serves families well.
Really identifying, this is one thing that is one of our core principles, and really within our mission and vision. First of all, having the staffing and learning coaches there that know how to dig in and analyze what's going on. What's this child need? What's this parent need? Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? Not just lay out a course or a learning plan just in general, but truly hone in on the personalized aspect, because not all students, everyone's different, right? We're all different. What interests us, what motivates us, and having that flexibility and adjustability to read through time and be able to provide that for these parents and the student just leads to success because it motivates them. They're happy. They're on track. And again, it may be there is a student that's exceeding in all the areas except for one, and maybe they're back a grade level or so. We can bring them back down to that, get it fulfilled, take them to the next step, and then the next thing you know, they're on to the next. And it's kind of like, I'll give a little story. I love this story because it kind of goes to my heart, and it's music. We had a student, it was a 10th grade student, done. No, I'm out of the school, no more. And it wasn't our school. This is, in the school system. And he just unmotivated and was time school's not for me. And so we had one of our learning coaches just take the time to dig in and talk, get on ground level with the student, and what interest, really came down about passion and interest. What do you want to do in life? What interests you? And what motivates you? What do you enjoy? And it came down to he loves guitar. And guitar. Well, so interesting, because you can take anything in this world and develop curriculum around it, basically, and say it's this guitar. So we were able to identify this, create a learning plan, because, as you know, he was interested in guitar, and he was also wanted to know about construction and building of a guitar. So if you think about that, a guitar, well, you get to learn about the resources out there with the different woods, geography, is it located? How is it manufactured? Then you get into mathematics and construction and geometry and physics. There's a number of things that you can start to involve in a particular interest that draws that student in. And all of a sudden, it was like a light bulb went on, and the sparkle and the enthusiasm that it created to draw that student back in it's just, and there's so many other stories like this we could share, but we don't have time. But that was one that really struck this. I'm a guitarist and musician and love music, and when I heard about that, I just beamed, but there's so many other things in other arenas, horses to just it can be into mechanics or computer science, or it's just endless, totally endless.
That's my favorite story too, because the student was going to drop out and then he didn't.
Yes.
So
That's really that's a big deal. I know for me, when I was in school, having a curriculum that would have really tailored to the things that I loved, I would have learned things a lot faster. Because it makes me think of, and I know my listeners have probably heard this story 100 times, but I'm going to say it again. It's my learning of history. Like, my learning of history was one of those things I could not stand. I legitimately could not stand history, or English for that matter. Those are the two classes that I really couldn't break a C. No matter how, I remember one year I was like, I'm really going to give everything. And I tried, and I still got a C. And I was like, this is the worst. So I could never, I just didn't understand it. It couldn't connect with technicalities of dates for history. It just made no sense to me. But when I got to college, I was able to specialize more in the things that I liked, right? Because that's where you tend to be able to start really focusing on things that you like. And by that time, you're older already, honestly, right? Like, you're already older, and you I don't know, you're almost, your loves are beaten out of you almost by that time, right? And I always had a love for the arts. I just did. Like, I was theater arts, regular art, dance, acting, all those things I was really, really huge in. And so in college, I had to take art history course, and I was like, oh, history. But I was like, oh, art history, maybe I can dig it. But I was like, oh, I wanted a drawing class. I really love to draw. So long story short, I went into the class, and guess what? I learned history. I was like, oh my goodness, I learned so much history, but I didn't learn it in the traditional way. It was completely different. I learned history through the understanding of the paint, the understanding of the architecture, the understanding of design, the understanding of when a painting was commissioned, the type of gesso they used to use. It was a completely different understanding of history, but yet I did learn timelines. I still learned about, the different people who were around, like kings, queens, presidents. I literally was able to learn about them, but through a whole different vein that didn't come traditionally. And then the dates, it wasn't me memorizing dates anymore, or memorizing anything. It was just that I understood that during the Baroque period, this is what happened. And I knew who was president, king, or, was in charge at that time. And it made sense to me. And I knew the time periods. I knew Baroque was from this time to this time, and Rococo was from this time to this time. So I knew it was just completely different. And I remember thinking, like, wow, had I learned history like this, I might have done really well. And I barely studied. That was the crazy thing. I remember one day I walked into class and I was completely taken off guard. They're like, everyone's studying. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why is everybody studying? It's like, we're having a test today. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, it's in 15 minutes. I'm like, no way. And I was just freaking out. And I was like, no. So I asked my friend, I was like, can you just give me your notes really quick? And I looked at her notes. I was like, okay, I got it. I ended up getting the highest grade in the class. But it wasn't because, I was so smart. It was just I understood it for what it was. So it was almost like a nature. Like it was just something I knew already. So I do agree with you guys that, and I find it really amazing that you're able to do such diversity within your school. How are you guys able to do that? Like how do you guys make room for that? Because I know other schools, it's just so difficult, but it seems for you guys to come in 30 minutes.
Well, let's just put it this way. We do. That's our mission. That's what drives us. This really comes from the heart. It's all this broken stories through the years. Oh my gosh, decades worth. Seeing your peers, your friends, their families, is just endless. And you take your story and relate it to that story of the guitar, where guitars in history. Oh my gosh. And what can be learned. So many, and again, like I was saying, it doesn't matter. It can be anything. And that drives those students. And that's what, again, it just makes me beam when we find that and can tune in. But yes, we do. We just take the time. But we have to have the skill sets of our learning coaches as well, and their passion and mission that align. We have a culture with that, and we have collaboration as well. So we all work together, we discuss things, and cover, we're out to help each other the same way with our group. And so it works.
Yeah, and I'll say it's definitely harder to be all about flexibility, and it definitely takes more time and more effort. But we find that we believe that it's so important that it's worth the effort, that to have this meaningful experience, to be able to support, have the privilege and the honor to support families in this way. It's worth every second, every bit of hard work.
And I love your motto in the background. It says, for those who can't see, it says, life brings challenges, strike brings solutions. And that does sound like the culture of your school. And, in a climate today where, a lot of children are being told that, oh, well, if you feel this, then yeah, if it's too hard for you, no, don't do it. But what you're saying is, we do hard things. And we model that, and we're going to support you through it because we do hard things. We know hard things, so we can bring you through hard things. And that's a really powerful skill to teach a generation right now that they're not being taught that in the traditional public schools. And that's an unfortunate thing, that resiliency is being almost like it's being stolen away from them. That, and I do say stealing. I do say that because the ability to be able to be resilient, to do hard things, to overcome that, there's a great feeling you get when you accomplish those things, and when you fun, and which is, it's noticeable in you both, right? Because you both do hard things, and you can hear your excitement, you can hear the passion in your voice, you can hear, you know, the desire to move forward and to do more hard things, and to help more people. And that's really what education is about. That's really what learning is all about. That's what life is all about. And I just gotta say, I'm so, you know, I just met you guys, but I'm so proud of you guys, you know, for doing what you're doing. And I'm so thankful that you know, you wanted to come on this podcast and, you know, talk to the family so that they can hear your heart. And I think that's a really important thing when it comes down to, you know, people like choosing different types of programs for their children, right? They're looking for the place that their kid's going to be able to thrive, right? And not just survive.
Absolutely.
And you know what is so, you know what, I just, from hearing you speak, it's that another thing that's gained is bringing the families closer. Oh my, how we've seen that separation today, and the divisions and problems and things that are happening in our society, in our world today. A lot of it comes down from that disconnect with our children. And for the parent and their student or child to be able to work together, I could share so many stories about how it's brought families back together again. And that in itself, oh my goodness, you know, it's just
Share one.
Oh, well, I think
Oh goodness, there are so many. Let me
yeah.
think about. We had a single parent family where the parent was having to work, but wanted more time, you know, with her child. She wanted that connection, and she wanted that that oversight, and so she just wasn't happy sending her child off to traditional school. It just felt like they were more separated and more disconnected. And so working with us, this mom, she would just be almost in tears telling us just how doing school in a different way and a non-traditional way, with the choices and with the flexibility and with our school honoring their family values, just what that did for her little family. And here she is, this struggling mama that is working and trying to raise, you know, her child. And that one change just made a world of difference, not only for mom, but for the daughter as well. The daughter was experiencing quite a bit of anxiety in different things, and being able to come to strike school, everything changed for them. And they finished out the year last year in a completely different place, with a new attitude and some hope for the future.
Yes, and I can think of a story about a father and son who were, like opposites. And there was one of our learning coaches that created a project. It's project-based, and where, you know, tools were involved and collection of materials and so forth. And as the process went forward, the working together increased, because, oh, well, you can do this, I can help with that. All of a sudden, these two that were so disconnected, this father and son, now coming together to build and create together, then allowed them to understand how each other thought and operated, to complete the project, and then won an award for the project. And so therefore, after that, they were compelled to do everything together, because it's just those kind of stories. It just, and that's what we want to see. There's more to, it's like, there's so much to this, because it all interconnects. You know, family values, the connection, the interaction. Again, why we're flexible, adjustable, we're personalized, and is to really find out their true needs, and as well to look out for those families if they're in need of resources. It may be outside of our direct, what we provide directly, but in an indirect source, we may identify certain needs. We'll go to work and find that resource, whether it be a local resource could be a variety of reasons, or a national resource. But we want to bring whatever we can for them to better their lives. Anything that impedes in their educational process. But overall, it just strengthens the family when they're not worrying about particular needs and they can't find what they need. We'll step in. It's just that's again from our hearts. It really means a lot. So it encompasses a pretty large scope of just the family unit in learning.
And that's what homeschool is all about, right? Being able to bring back the family together and allowing families to learn together. Those are two powerful stories, because those are probably two of the biggest things that happen in the world right now. Single parents and dads being separated from their children, and just the opportunity to be able to bring them together. That could really, oh my gosh, that would warm my heart so much. I'd maybe cry all the time. But, as we're wrapping up.
You shed a few tears every so often.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I know I did, listening to you guys. Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, what's the call to action? Where can they find your resources? Where can they find your school and, connect with you guys?
Yeah, so we have a website, and it's pretty easy to remember. All you have to do is go to strikeschool.org. That's strikeschool.org. You will find all of our contact information. You'll find all kinds of information about our options. We offer so many options that many times it takes a phone call or a text message.
And don't be afraid to call.
Yeah, we will communicate with anyone any way that they want to communicate with us. We know that it's busy and for everyone. And so all of the information and a starting place can be found on our website. We also will take phone calls and text messages at our office anytime that we can. We try to stay very available. That phone number is area code 503-313-2461.
Awesome. So in our last couple of minutes, what is one thing you want parents to walk away from this conversation with? What's one big takeaway?
Oh boy, you can do it and we can help. We are here to help you. And whatever it is, when it comes to your child's education, we're here for you. We're here to cover your back. You can do it and become successful. Don't be afraid.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for coming on and just sharing, these testimonies, just how everything started, a little behind the scenes and everything, and just letting us into your life and into your scope. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us on.
If you love the conversations we're having here on the Homeschool Advantage podcast, follow or subscribe our podcast to stay in the loop and never miss this amazing content. And please highly consider taking a minute to leave a positive rating and review to help others like you discover this show. See you next time.